Okay.
All right. Well, this is SANDCAST, the first podcast of 2021, actually. So happy New Year's, everyone. We have a New Year's present for everyone, especially Delaney, Nina was so excited that we get to have Nina Matthies on the show. Finally, she's been telling me that we needed to have you on for a while. So I'm glad that we could get you on. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Under the circumstances, fantastic.
Yeah, I was telling Try before you came on that you hadn't used Zoom before, and he was like, "Okay, she must be retired because if you were still working, like you'd be doing Zoom all day, every day."
Exactly. That is the Try. That is the best thing about retirement is that you don't really have to do anything that you don't want to do. So it's all good.
I'm out here. My mom is she was like decided to do another year instead of retiring, and COVID hit. Now she's doing all PE classes online.
Oh God.
It's pretty hilarious from my end where she's trying to teach PE through video, but she hates it.
Yeah. I know I've had some friends who are teaching swimming, and I'm like, come on, like really?
Teaching swimming online?
Yes.
No way.
Yes. Teaching swimming classes online.
Sounds dangerous.
I mean, yeah, I'm not really sure about that, but
people must be desperate.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Well, how is the retirement life treating you?
You know, you don't really, you think your whole life you work. And I mean, I think I've been working since I was 16, pretty solid. And I mean, if you call volleyball work, so and coaching, but I call it work anyway. I got paid and I had to do stuff. So I'm thinking that's work. It never seemed like work to me. So it never seemed like work. So then the part about retiring from that was, I was like, why do I want to retire? I mean, I love what I do, you know? So it seemed like I couldn't figure out what I was going to do if I stopped coaching or, you know, when I stopped playing. But when I stopped playing, that was kind of like the end. I shut the door and went forward. That was really easy for some reason. And then same with like going indoors. I quit coaching indoor. And I was like, all right, I never went back in the gym again. I mean, so I'm pretty good at quitting, I think. And then the beach was just another thing with coaching. I think it's just like I was ready, you know, you guys don't know, but when you're 66, 65, you know, it's like, you're just like, hey, I'm ready to just not have to do the things I don't want to do, basically.
Yeah.
Selfishly speaking, you know, and just get to do what you want to do.
No, I think there's a lot of words that we could use to describe you. I don't think selfish would be anywhere near that vocabulary.
Well, okay, thanme's.
When you've done so much for the sport, and like you said, you know, you've been in volleyball for so long.
Yeah.
Was it? I mean, not that you're ever really out of volleyball, because I know that last year or 2 years ago, when you kind of first retired, that you kind of popped in to Pepperdine matches, and you played in the Force fundraiser.
Sure.
So it's not like you ever truly left the game. But is it tough, as competitive as you are, to kind of leave competition?
Yeah. I think when I stopped playing, I think that was like when I decided. I mean, I played till I was 40, and so I had competed my entire life from 12 to 40. It's a long time, and then coaching is competitive, but a different kind of competitive. I think I was just ready to not be competing, and even now people go, oh, you know, I do Pilates and I do things, and they're like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, I am not competing with anyone. I just want to do it because I want to, you know. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to compete anymore. I just want to relax. So it's not that, it wasn't that hard. It wasn't that hard.
Yeah. What does relaxing look like for you these days?
Well, I went on like a 7-mile hike today. That's my relaxing. I just kind of been just doing a lot of a ton of trails up around us. It's so beautiful where I live, and I think never really got to take the time to explore the area. It sounds funny, but I never had time. You know, who has time to go spend two hours walking? You know, like I didn't, and when I had to do everything else. So I've been doing a lot of hiking, And Dan and I, we've always had a home gym. So I work out every day. I do Pilates and do stuff. And so I'm cooking, visiting the grandkids, just, reading, what you doing the gardening, just I become an avid a birder dork. I like watching all the birds and hops and stuff that you just never, I didn't have time to really, I don't know, look at or just kind of delve into. And it's been a lot of fun, kind of learning some new things and kind of getting excited about birds. My husband's like, seriously, but it's really, he's not into birding. He's not into birding with me, but it's pretty fun, actually.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I'm out here in Hawaii. I've actually been here for 3 months this time around because of COVID. There was really no reason to, back in Cali, and I kind of feel like I'm on a mini retirement. Just me. I'm staying with my parents, but I mean, every day I'm just like, well, there's no reason not to go surf again. There's no reason not to go to the beach again, and just spend time with family and hang out. And I feel like I've had a mini retirement, and now I'm coming out of it. But I'm actually like, weirdly, I've like found myself almost complaining that I'm on vacation. I'm like, I need to get back to work. It's too difficult. I can't focus. I just surf every day.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, but see, I've done that already. So now we have to do something else. Like I've been at the beach my whole life. It seems like, I mean, I'm complaining about it. I'm not complaining about it, but like what a great thing. And I'm 5 minutes away from the beach, and we've been trying to go down and go for a walk. We jumped in on New Year's Day. That's nice. A Matthies family tradition wherever we are. So we've been in some chilly places on New Year's Day, but so we did our jump in on January 1st. It's a little cooler up here than it is in the Bay and in Hawaii, for sure.
I love that tradition. Me and Delaney went camping up in Kern, and so I got in the 36-degree Kern River.
Nice.
On New Year's Day. Luckily, there was a hot spring right there to warm me up.
Okay. I think that's cheating. That's awesome. We started doing that with our kid. When the kid, Danny and I have always done it, and then when the boys were young, we did it. All of us, every whatever, we do it. And so wherever we are, if anyone's with us, my older one in Washington or in Oregon, he doesn't do that anymore. But Marty, my younger one, he jumps in with us, or wherever he is, he jumps in on New Year's Day too. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of
fun. I like that.
We do. Yeah, it's good stuff.
You mentioned you've been on the beach pretty much your whole life, which is pretty cool. I don't know. I know that as a player, you were tremendous, and as a coach, obviously your legacy at Pepperdine kind of speaks for itself. But had you always been a volleyball player? Like, was that like from the start your sport?
Well, okay, so you guys are so young, and I know you don't think you are, but you are. That growing up, we didn't have. Girls didn't play sports in Manhattan Beach. There was no sports for us. I know that's hard to believe. But so my parents, who were very young, I think my mom had me when she was 21. My dad was probably like 23, so they're young with already 2 kids, and we ended up having 5 of us. They played, we rented, my mom and dad rented they moved from Iowa. Sorry, going backwards, but it kind of explains me. Yeah. So my dad graduated from college and got a job with Hughes in engineering. And so they moved from a farm life. Both of them were farm kids. They moved straight away. My mom was 18. My dad was 21. And they moved to Manhattan Beach so he could work. And they rented a house on 16th and the Strand. I grew up in 16th and the Strand in an old beach house where there's a big giant house right now, big glass, horrendous thing. Well, that wasn't that. It was a little old barny beach house. And that's where I grew up. And so, because nobody lived at the beach because it was too far to go to work. And, like the beach was, I think, cheaper than living inland. Whoa. Hard to believe. Yeah. But so we grew up there, and people, everyone played volleyball right out my front door. I mean, I just walked out and there's volleyball courts, on 16th Street right there. And so I kind of grew up around that. And my parents both learned how to play, and people learned how to play. And actually, I don't know, Kurt Kilgore, that's a name out of the past, who passed away, from a couple years ago or many years ago, but one of the best players in the world. His family actually lived up the street. So we had these kind of volleyball players like around us, and he was older than me, but I started playing probably when I was 9, 10, I don't know, little. I mean, we played on the beach. And so that was kind of what I started doing. And I don't really know how I kind of just kept going in it, because there wasn't any other sports for girls. There just wasn't.
When were you kind of allowed to play organized sports?
Well, we weren't. I mean, we had like in PE in junior high and PE in high school. Otherwise, everyone was on the drill team, or your cheerleaders. That's what all the athletic girls did. Because at least, I don't know, at least you were involved in something. And then I just played on the beach, and I didn't know I was good or not good or whatever, but I know I won. I knew I like to win. I won things, and people asked me to play, and I played a lot of mixed doubles, and then it just kind of, as sport grew and things grew, I kind of got caught up playing indoor when I was 16. I started playing with a group, and they kind of kicked me into like an Olympic. I was playing with Olympians, and so I kind of got rolled into this. I don't really know how, snowballed in. Somebody thought I had something, and they helped me out. And I don't really know. I just sort of followed along. Followed along and went. And I loved playing, and I love playing volleyball, and I love competing. I am very competitive, or was.
It's a family of 5 siblings. I'm sure you were probably competing all the time.
Exactly. I had an older brother, and 1 year older, and my dad was terrible. He made us. I played football. I played football with him. I played pickle with him. I played baseball with him. I played basketball with him. I mean, whatever. Just kind of, that's what we did. So
it
was great.
Were your parents athletes too? Because I'm saying, if you guys were just playing sports all the time, I'm sure that was theirs.
I think my dad worked his tail off. He was a farmer. I think they're whatever, they don't have time to do anything,
right?
And my mom, she claims, we had pictures of her, and she's a teeny little thing. She probably weighed like 85 pounds or maybe 90, and she's like 5 feet but she played basketball. They played basketball in Iowa, so she played basketball sports in Iowa in high school, but they didn't even have it in California. But so she was a good athlete. My dad was a good athlete. So yeah, my brother was a tremendous athlete. He's a year older than me. He's a tremendous athlete.
Yeah. And you ended up, you went to UCLA, right? Won a couple national titles.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
What was so that was UCLA. So at the time, that was what, like 76?
70. No, I went to UCLA. I played in 74 and 75.
Okay.
Yeah, and then because time, whatever, life is different. There was no scholarships. There's the first year scholarships were offered was in 1974 for women in sports. Okay. Period. And so Andy Manikowski I was on a club team where he was a coach. I knew him, blah, 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 blah. And, just kind of called him up and said, hey, maybe I should go to UCLA. I was really lame, whatever. But so I just went to UCLA for a couple of years and played.
Yeah.
Mostly played volleyball.
I'm trying to figure out the timeline. So you would have been there before St. Or did you guys?
Yes. No, he is younger. Yeah. Than me.
Okay.
By a bit, quite a bit. Well, not quite, but I don't know how old he is, but
right.
He would. And honestly, the guys, I didn't follow guys volleyball whatsoever. Dan was, my husband was, he played water polo and swam at Long Beach State. So needless to say, well, my boyfriend at the time, I spent a lot of time at Long Beach State, probably more than I spent at UCLA. I'm not proud of it, but that was sort of kind of, just kind of how it was. So, you know, it was all good. And then
Yeah.
I stayed at UCLA with Andy and coached until I went to Pepperdine in 83. So I was at UCLA from 74 until 1983.
Okay. So you were kind of always balancing playing and coaching then.
Yeah. Yeah.
That had to have been pretty tough. Yeah.
Well, at the time, you know, the playing part, like you guys, we didn't have all that. Well, one, we didn't have coaches. We didn't have all that. We, you know, nobody had anything. You just trained on your own or with your partner. And I just played at the beach. So I did. I played mixed doubles probably, you know, 8 hours a day. I mean, that's all. I pretty much played mixed doubles with all the top guys. I used to spend a ton of time. I played with Steve Obradovich a ton, Matt Gage, Bud Schwartz. I mean, kind of older guys, Bob Jackson. I mean, we played mixed. That's what we did.
That's cool. You don't see that much anymore. Delaney would love to see co-ed make a comeback.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And I think that's why how I became I know it's how I became a better player, playing against guys all the time. You know, and if you know, we are the old days, you went down the beach, you signed up, or you got on the court, and if you won, you stayed on, and if you lost, you're out, and who knows when you played again. So you won. I mean, if you didn't win, you weren't playing. So you won. And I learned how to win. I mean, you win. And I didn't care who I was playing with, we won. So it was a ton of fun. It was good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
I love those stories about a lot of the kind of the old school style where you just like you put your flip-flop down or whatever it was on the court.
Yeah.
And if you lost, you're waiting a couple hours. And like you said, I mean, you learned how to win. The guys who figured it out, they really figured it out. You know, like Dodd, St. John, Karts, like all those guys who just played all day. They're like, you just learned how to not wait in line.
Yeah.
So you won.
And those guys, that was the next group from me up, you know, older or, you know, younger, whatever, down from me, I guess, you know, like Javi and, you know, Hovland and Obradovich, and then all that group and Karch, and that they were like kind of the next, like, I don't want to say the 9-10 years younger or 8-9 years younger, you know, kind of coming up. And there weren't very many gals are my age that played. There was like a couple older, like Kathy Gregory, she was like in the next group older. There's some older gals from Santa Monica that played, but there weren't any my age where I was too much. There weren't very many gals that played. So you had to play with whoever you played with. I played with everybody. I used to go play with the old ladies. I'd play with the guys. It didn't matter. I just played. I'd ride on my bike with my ball, you know, and everyone would yell, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You want to play?" I'm like, "Sure." And I'd run and I'd go play. So
I love that. I feel like the beach community needs a little bit more of that, because everyone's always like stressed about making money playing beach or going to a tournament. Like, how's the prize money? I don't know. That's just like such an old school, just like joy just to play the game. And I love it.
There was no money, so we all had to work, you know?
Yeah.
But so everyone pretty much worked at nights, like a lot of the guys were firemen, so they had days off. And at that time in the probably the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. And then I worked at the Chart House, so we all worked at restaurants at night. So you could play all day and then work all night and then play all day and work all night. It was super great. You know?
Yeah. So you saw it. Go ahead, Try.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, because like beach, there started to get paid events in like 76, and like Cuervo Miller started hopping on. I don't know, was it guys and girls those tournaments, or because there weren't a ton of women players?
We didn't start getting paid, I think, until when am I thinking? In the 80s, probably like the 80s, because those guys were, I don't know about 76 getting too much money. Some people were getting a couple $100 here and there, you know, but I don't think getting good money. The Cuervo, I think that started later, because the AVP had just started right after, I know, because whatever. Gosh, so many weird stories. But Leonard Armato came to us, the women, and wanted to know if we wanted to start an association, because before the men had started the AVP, actually.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. So I had just had Mo. So he was born in 82. And I just started at Pepperdine. So I just had a baby. I just got a new job. And then he came and we met, and everyone's like, okay, well, at the time I was probably one of the top players. And invested in volleyball, and they're like, hey, you need to be the head of this thing. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it right now, you guys. I can't do this. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have time. I don't have a second. I don't have time. And so we kind of blew it off, which is probably really stupid. But we didn't know. Who knew it was going to go where
Right.
it went? We didn't know. And then the guys started off and just went off. And then they started adding. Then the girls. I played in my first actual like tournaments with the guys. I think in like 83, 84, 83 and 84 in Florida, Cuervo's, in conjunction with the men's tour.
Yeah.
And we played together like in
Okay.
some events. And that's when we kind of started really actually making money. Well, I mean, more than like a bathing suit top or a dinner or something, yeah,
Right.
we actually made a little cash and some Cuervo too. So that was kind of cool. So it's all good.
You were already at Pepperdine by the time your professional career started on the beach?
Yes. Wow. And I had 2 kids.
Wow.
Pretty impressive, Nina.
Well, not right away, but yeah, Marty was born in 85. So yeah, Mo was born in 82 and Marty was born in 85. And I remember I had him in March, and we had a tournament in Florida. It opened in May, and I had a March 15th, and off we went to the races. I mean, I was playing. I mean, so everyone, my husband's like, get going, get out, get work, the kitchen workout. I was like, holy crap. Yeah, I have no sympathy for people who don't like get after it. I'm bad. I'm a bad,
for sure.
I'm a bad advice for women who are pregnant, and they'll go, oh man. I'm like, you know what? Just do it. Just get going. Get a move on.
I love that.
Oh God. I'm going to get hate mail from
I'll stop feeling bad for myself for having 1 kid now. After being pro for like 8 years of just playing volleyball.
Right. Well, you guys, it's like I don't know. Spending 2 hours, you had to really prioritize, your like time is like, it's really not really category, like whatever I want to say, like really put time blocks together and how we did everything. I don't know. It was smoke and mirrors. I have no idea.
Right.
I mean, I'm thankful. My husband was a fireman. So firemen, they work 24 hours. Well, he worked 24 hours, which was hard. I mean, but he worked 24 hours, 10 days a month. And, they're on a day, off a day, on a day, off a day, off 4 days. And so we just take a schedule, and I just have figured it all out, for like the month. Okay, this month we're doing this. I'm working out, boom, 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 boom. We pass the kids off handed, and I don't even know how we did it, but we did it.
Parents are superheroes.
Oh God, no kidding. They are. I watch them now. I feel for all you parents, and oh my gosh. Homeschooling, not fun. Oh, having your kids around, not being able to do stuff. Oh my gosh, my grandkids are struggling. It's hard to watch.
How old are you? How many grandkids do you have?
Just 2. My older son, they're 10 and 6.
Okay. That's fun. They're able to kind of do stuff, and with, they're coordinated probably.
So much fun. Yeah, we have so much fun.
Yeah.
We go, when they're here, we're at Zuma like all day. That's all we do. We're in the water 24/7. I mean, we're just in the water.
How is Zuma? Is it getting better? Because the last time I was there was a CBVA I played actually with Delaney's brother, and it was still like you would dive and come up, and your arms would just be black from ash still. Is it getting better?
You know what? I don't know. I haven't been down there. We just
you're off the beach.
We're at the north end of the beach, and we just west end, whatever you want to call it. But we just go in the water. No, they don't care. Now, actually, the sand's pretty nice up there. I still think it's probably pretty sooty down, where the courts are. So it's going to be that way for I don't know a while.
Yeah. You need a really big swell to come and just pull a lot of the sand out and then push it back up all clean.
Yeah.
The problem is it doesn't push back. Once we lose it, it seems like it's gone here, Yeah. But Zuma, if they did that, that would be up to that would be horrific. But I agree with you. That's exactly what needs to happen.
Well, did you see that Pepperdine broke ground on campus or on campus courts?
No, I talked to Marcio. He didn't even tell me that.
Yeah. Well, he just told us today, before this, me and Delaney were coaching with him. So he's excited because he's been pushing for that for a while, just because,
God.
I mean, it's a 20-minute drive from campus, and
Yeah.
it's always, the afternoons are always insanely windy at Zuma. And then the beach itself has had a lot of trouble with the landslides and fires. So, but yeah, they broke ground today, which is pretty cool.
Good. That is really cool. I mean, I loved the training on the beach though, and I love playing in the wind where there was the morning. That never bothered me, but of course, whatever,
Yeah.
I thought that's how it should be, but the since the fire, it's been pretty tough. The sand quality and just the down there that's been a tough go for them, and not really very many options. So I think that's awesome that they get to at least train on campus and have some place to play right now, and then use the beach too when they need to.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say that's the biggest thing. Like when you want to do more like consistent reps and just getting nice reps in, you can stay at school. And then when you want like real game practice and like dealing with elements and whatnot, you can go down there. I mean, like most of the other schools aren't able to do that, right? Most of the schools are all inland nowadays.
Yeah. Everyone has they have really not, it's amazing how many what they've done, the courts all around the school, all around the country. It's incredible venues that schools have put in. We just are like Pepperdine, just space is obviously a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't have the extra fields, hanging out, it's like, we're not like a giant campus where you can just like garner some corner, and do stuff. So I'm stoked for him. I'm really stoked for him.
It's so cool to see. I mean, you were at Pepperdine from 83 to 20,
a long time.
2018. Yeah, that's quite a bit. And the game has changed so much, and you were like such an innovator in that. I mean, you helped launch the WPVA for a little bit in the 90s, right? And then you helped
80s,
start beach volleyball as a college sport. Then you got Pepperdine involved. Is it cool for you to kind of see just how much the game has innovated, but also to see kind of your footprint all over the sport?
It's nice of you. I don't think of it that way, but that's not how I look at. It's not how I look at things. But it has been fun to the beach. The beach, the part of the beach becoming an NCAA sport was a really big deal to me. I once I kind of got involved in it, I really think it's I think it's such a great sport. I mean, obviously you guys would play, and I just think it's a wonderful sport, and I love that we needed some avenues for the gals to play more and to train and have good training, earlier, younger, to compete with the rest of the world. I mean, there's just so many things, that I think it's pretty, that part is pretty awesome to have been a part of. Really, really amazing. Really amazing.
What was the process for getting it started? How did the ball get moving?
Well, there just was the gal who heads the ABCA, which is Kathy DeBoer. She was on board. Well, she's an amazing human being, amazing woman. And I think just she started talking to we started talking to athletic directors and presidents of universities, and mostly it was like athletic directors and presidents of who got on board. And Pepperdine, our athletic director and our president were on board. They thought it was so cool. And I think it helped, obviously, that I was there and they watched me playing through, like being one of the top players and kind of getting to that point and me believing that it could be a great sport for Pepperdine. And I thought it was a sport that we could come in as on the top, be a front runner and continue being a top program instead of having, it's tough. We're a small little school, and it's a tough go in all our sports to be on the top of the country. But that was a sport I thought we could sell. And I think that's how we sold that to a lot of conferences and people that just had a vision and wanted to make more opportunities for women. I mean, it's a far and few in between, but there are some out there, and that's kind of where we started.
Yeah, Yeah, and you guys were winning right off the bat, as if being the full-time indoor coach and a mom wasn't enough. Added a whole new sport.
Yeah, that was a little hectic, but busy days, busy. That was busy.
Yeah. Well, it's worked out. I mean, it's crazy to see how fast it's grown. I mean, it's the fastest growing sport in NCAA history. And that's, I think it's so cool to see. And we've talked a lot about the LSU girls. I don't know if you've been able to see Kristen Nuss and Taryn Cloth play, but they won like 6 straight tournaments, like big tournaments against like kind of some of the better AVP pros. And they just took second at a big one in Florida, and their only loss was to Larissa and another Brazilian who are like Hall of Famers. It's so cool to see how good the college talent is.
Right. Well, I mean, but you guys have seen, you both, just from playing, pro and playing on the beach, you've got to have seen how the talent around the world has gotten better. I mean, that's been unbelievable, because first in the 80s, I mean, there was no one playing around the world. Volleyball wasn't played anywhere on the beach. Right. I mean, in the early 80s, and so how that's grown, and then the training and what goes in behind that, and the programs, and how people are playing for their country and playing really young. And so obviously that's helped with the college game too. And I'm hoping that that's going to broaden our group of women that are playing, just like it's kind of like more guys are playing. And I don't know. I mean, we need to stay on top. The rest of the world. I mean, it's like people are from Belgium, that like Europe, everyone just took to it like nobody's business, there's so many great teams, so many great players.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I'm definitely grateful I'm not on the girls' side though, with how much good talent is. There's a lot of great male talent in Europe, like you were talking about, but in the US, we're not pumping out young male talent even close to how the girls are. And it's but being a veteran now.
Because you can't, I mean, because you guys have all the choices. I mean, well, I guess we do too, but the choices of playing, all the athletes, their whole lives, you guys play basketball, you play football, you play baseball, you play soccer, now, I mean, geez, it's like there's such an array of sports and college and everything for the guys. And I think the girls volleyball has gone in, it's insane, the indoor part of it. And then from that, obviously people are playing volleyball and then coming out and playing beach. And I think they just weren't playing beach very at an early age. And now we're getting so many more gals playing beach. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing is what it is. Amazing.
Yeah. And I want to rewind a little bit, because you were if Sindra was correct, I think you were one of the original ones who started playing beach volleyball globally. Were you on some of those original trips to Rio that were kind of exhibitions for the FIVB?
Yeah, we went, Linda Hanley and she was Linda Robertson at the time. Linda and I went with Sinjin and Pat Powers.
Okay.
For a 2-week Brazil trip, let me tell you what. That was, and all those guys are 10 years like younger, not married, whatever. I'm married, have 2 kids and a job. Anyway, it was a interesting couple weeks. But we played in Sao Paulo. We played exhibitions, and then we played in Rio, and it was awesome. I mean, we had an interpreter, we had our van, we're staying right in the Copacabana, this hotel, looking out of the ocean. It was incredible. It was an incredible experience. And that was in 1986, I believe.
Okay.
I think 1986. No. Yeah. Because the pro stuff had started, but nothing was happening on the beach, like anywhere internationally.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the guys had gone down the year before. Maybe they had gone down and played, and then we went and did an exhibition, and it was crazy. I mean, we felt there's this giant stadium, they built on the beach. We had the planes going by, their names, and the whole, oh my gosh, it was fun.
That's
was fun.
awesome. What I'm wondering, because
Yeah.
I know that Brazil has loved indoor volleyball for a long time, but that was kind of the first experience of like not organized beach, but kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, it was. And I think I'm not sure who like where honestly. Linda called me. She said, "Hey, Sinjin called. You want to go to Brazil?" And I'm like, yeah. And I mean, I asked Danny, "Can we do this?" She's like, "Yeah, go." So it was incredible, yeah, it was incredible. And Marcio remembers that he was like a little baby. But he remembers us coming down there and playing, which is a kind of a trip, so.
Because I think it was a pretty big event, because I mean, right away, Brazil took to the beach faster than any other
Yeah.
country did. I know that like Italy had a couple of good teams, but Brazil was like
Yeah.
running the FIVB like pretty much from the start.
Yeah. Yeah. They were off and running. They were, well, because they could play with their feet down there, like playing. So I mean, I don't know. So playing with their hands was easy. It's like,
Yeah.
their soccer stuff just blew me away. I was like, what in the heck,
Yeah.
Amazing athletes. Amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think Phil Dahlhauser explained it best why, because you mentioned all these little European countries are so good at beach. And he said, well, you only need two. You just need two good players. And he said, a lot of the countries like Norway that might not have 12 like phenomenal volleyball players to put together a great indoor team, you just need two
Right.
for a beach team.
Right.
So it kind of made sense.
Right. I always thought that I've really thought the coolest format. I love the beach. I love our format, the college format.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be so cool to have countries against countries and have 5 teams.
I
think
would
that would
love
be
it.
the coolest format ever.
I think
And
we've
have,
talked about
USA, Norway, Brazil, Italy, whatever. And then I just think that would be an amazing format international.
We talk about that on the show all the time, because I think I've watched so much college volleyball and I think it is the best format. And
God bless you.
I think it's the coolest thing when it's 2-2 and it's the third set on court 3 and everyone just comes on in. Like,
how fun would that be?
Could you imagine if we had like the 5th court USA against Brazil, like Manhattan Beach? Like, it would be awesome.
It would be amazing.
It'd be the first time I ever cheered for any of these guys.
Yeah. But see, exactly. I think in the old days, but in the olden days, but in the old days, like the Manhattan Open, everyone was really, what's the word I want to use? Like, we all stayed, you didn't play with someone from Santa Monica. I mean, that was like, might as well have been Mars, and Santa Barbara and San Diego, everyone that had their little fiefdoms, so like the Hermosa Manhattan, the guys, we kind of all played together. But, so you had your guys and you all go to the tournaments. I went to every, the B's, I was a volley to the max, I went to the B tournaments, the double A's, the triple A's, the opens, we all went. And then you cheered, or, you had your guys, that you played with all the time, and everyone rooted for your guys. And it was so cool. And I think that would be I think it was way more like friendly, because we weren't competing for money. It wasn't about money. It wasn't your job. You did it just because you loved to play. And so people played with whoever their next door neighbor was. You play with your friends, even, they had to be good. You're good friends, not your bad friends, but you're good friends. You play with the best people from your area. You play with people, but you stayed, people didn't like cross cities too much. It's kind of funny, but.
Yeah, it is interesting. I feel like nowadays, I don't know. Like, even for me, I almost wish I wanted to, but I don't really like stick around after. I don't even watch finals. I just bail. I'm like, I'm over it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But that sounds fun. It reminds me of my childhood, growing up playing out here and just playing in the little tournaments. And it's like an all day thing. Even if you lost first round, you're still there all day.
Right.
I guess probably not a good thing that I've lost that, but
You're supposed to be winning and playing, you know, like.
Well, maybe that's part of it too. Is I'm making it further.
I was talking to someone the other day about how because the flying when we first started playing all around the country, you could, you just had a ticket. You had you had an airline ticket, and if you lost, Travis, and I was still playing, or vice versa, you'd say, hey, I get a ticket to tomorrow. You want to go home now or whatever? And we'd trade tickets, and I could go on the plane with my, with your ticket. And nobody cared. It was amazing, whatever. And so we would I never thought I was ever going to lose a tournament. So you booked it the last, thing on Sunday night or Monday morning. And then if you lose, I'd be like, oh, I need to get home to the kids and this and that, and so you'd run around going, hey, who wants to stay till tomorrow? Who's still in, or who? And they're like, oh my God, I have my plane's supposed to leave in 10 minutes, but I'm still playing. And I'm like, here, take my ticket. We all did it. Referees, everyone. It was
awesome.
It was a really cool, time, right. I can running through the Miami airport, running with bags and trying to get on planes. They just close the door. No, we need to get home, please. I was always with Linda Hanley, and she was so cute and everything. And she talked us onto a lot of flights. Let me tell you, she sweet talked us.
That's an important skill to have. The master is Carissa Cook. Has got us exit row every flight that I've ever been on with her. It's amazing. Chief negotiator.
Yeah, I think that was Linda. I blocked tackle through the airport, so I did that. And then she'd come in and do her hair and whatever. Oh, can we please? I really need to get home. And somehow they'd find 2 seats for us and we get on the plane. Pretty cool.
I've lost my coach in Europe on a layover. We're both running. Through the airport.
I love the story.
He's right behind me. We make it to the gate. They're like, you just made it. I throw my thing, beep it, and keep going because I'm like, I don't want to make everyone wait. And Evie Matthews, who's my coach, he goes to his backpack and starts and then he looks up and it's closed. The gate's closed. I'm in Cincinnati. He's not there till the next day. I was like, I was at the gate with the guy and we lost him.
This couldn't have happened to a better guy. I bet John gave him so much crap for it too.
Yeah, for sure.
God.
What was the priority in those days? Because you were one of the best players, but you were also kind of taking Pepperdine to a new level, and you were also a mom. Gosh, I can't imagine. How did you prioritize and navigate these things?
Yeah. Okay, so I started my first job at Pepperdine. I think I made $6,000. That was my contract. I went from UCLA as an assistant coach, making really, pretty good money. At the time, in the early 80s, so at the time for women's sports, I don't know. I was making good money at UCLA, and I took the job at Pepperdine, and I'm like, okay, let's see. I'm making this much money on the beach winning a tournament. So I was basically making my salary every weekend. I'm like, I guess what's important, you just kind of, I don't know. I figured coaching, it was all important, but things are so different now. We didn't have to do all the paperwork stuff, so basically you could just be at practice, planned all your stuff. I did my deal. I did what I was supposed to do, but I didn't sit in the office all day. I couldn't, with kids and whatever. So it was kids first, kids husband first, training, beach, and then Pepperdine. Kind of all clumped together.
Yeah.
But I didn't sit in the office at school. You didn't have to at that time, really. You just didn't have to. And we were good. So everyone was happy that I was like, okay, well, I kept it going as long as I could.
Yeah. When did you guys start to get some money on the women's side?
Probably in 80. Well, we started playing with the guys kind of in a pretty consistent 84, 85, 86. And we started the WPVA in 87.
Okay.
Because then what happened is that and not just one of the things, but we we started kind of getting a crowd and then people would like having us there. And then there was a contingent of the guys that didn't think we belonged there. And, you know, it was like we were stealing their money and, you know, I don't know, whatever, you know, so that just kind of, there was some pressure. And then we started the women's tour so that we could have our own tour, because guys had their own tour too. And then we played some events together. Yeah. So the events we played together were just a few, maybe it was like a handful, 5 or so, you know, we played together. And there were some people very vocal about not wanting us to be there. And so we basically started the WPVA just so that we could have like all the girls kind of on the same page. Basically, it was more like, it wasn't about money. It was about just getting an association together where we maybe had a little say, because the guys would go play and we would, like, for instance, we were in Florida, these guys come out and they say, okay, you can't play with a t-shirt on or whatever, you know, you have to play in your bathing suits. And here you guys are playing with this pink ball. And I'm like, what the, you know, like it was like a pink plastic ball, you know, like a pink, somebody had made a ball, you know, like whatever. It wasn't right. It was a volleyball, but it wasn't.
It was like like a Walmart replica.
Exactly. I don't know what it was. It was pink. And so we were kind of, that was kind of happening. And I just said, I'd had enough. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm like, I wanted to be respected as an athlete and not be used as we were there to help the guys. I thought we carried our own weight. I wanted to carry our own weight. Yeah. And so that kind of was the shift between we kind of, and we still played some events together though after that, but it was a little, maybe there, I don't know. We just wanted some respect, or maybe I did.
Yeah. You're so good at starting things. I mean, you started the WPVA, you launched that, you got beach volleyball as a sport. You pretty much launched the Pepperdine program. You've done a lot of cool things.
Yeah. I mean, I have, this is not me. I mean, you know, you have great, I have an ability. You have great people. I had great people around me, and I had great people helping us with the WPVA. We did a lot of research, how to do that. You know, people, maybe I'm good at like talking people into helping me. And at Pepperdine, I've had great assistant coaches, and I have good people to help me be better. You know, I know I've always known I'm not the sharpest tool in the room. I'm not the smartest person in the room, and you need people that do the things well that you don't do. So I don't know. I have been very fortunate to have good people around me, really good people around me.
Because 86, 87, when you started the WPVA, like that was right after the AVP formed. Yeah. I don't even know what the process would be to start kind of your own tour. I mean,
you can't look that now. You can't Google it either.
Yeah, you don't find much results in the WPVA.
No, you can't Google anything. We just looked down how to start an association. Seriously, I was like, how to start an association from scratch. I'm like doing all these things, and then we got a couple. Obviously we've been doing tournaments, so we have people that have money that want to put on the tournaments, and we wanted them to put on the tournaments. We just wanted to have a say in how the tournaments were run, like how they were seated, to be consistent, consistent times, consistent, just everything being consistent and more professional. And so we had people that wanted to put tournaments on, and wanted to put up prize money. So we kind of got some sponsors involved and some promoters involved that wanted to do both. And they did a little of the guys and a little of ours. And so we kind of, until it disbanded, I think it just got too big. Everyone, it just, got too big for its britches, after I don't know, everyone wanted, I don't know what they wanted in the caviar in the players tent. We didn't even have players tent, so they wanted, it's kind of like, wait, what, you guys, time out, oh
yeah.
God. So my deal was to pay more people, even though, so the top players made money, but I think we paid down to I think we might've paid like 32 people, like just 16th or 24th, or try to like pay everybody something.
Yeah.
And then as we got bigger, or, as the players got better, and then as I got older and wasn't winning work, and I didn't have much clout, people were like, well, the people who are winning wanted all the money, and they didn't want to give it to the other people. And oh God, how it goes, just.
I feel like a lot of people now, I mean, we kind of had a little bit of experience with it when AVP was doing some stuff and the players got together and were kind of like thinking about starting their own thing. Carrie
Right.
went off and did her own thing and whatnot.
Right.
How important do you think it is? Because I think the players need to have a voice. Like, I think it's very important.
Me too.
And we really don't right now. But how
Right.
important do you think it is?
I
On the
think
international tour, it's just starting up.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, I thought it was really important as a player because I have some pretty strong values and ethics, and I was working my butt off, like training and, like as an athlete, not just as an athlete, and I wanted to be, wasn't rewarded. I wanted to be respected, and I wanted to have a say in I want things to be, like I said, consistent across the board in basic stuff, tournament seating, how we were treated, how we play. I didn't want someone to come down and say, hey, you guys are playing with this ball, you're doing that, we're playing at and we're playing in the dark, we're like, wait, timeout. No, we're not. I just wanted the courts to be right and fair. I think that the players need to have a say. In a players association, somebody has to have their hand in it at some point in time to stay kind of true to the sport, because otherwise someone's just going to take it off wherever they think it should go. And it has, like with we guys have with the smaller courts and with how did all that happen? Like when did that happen? Why did that? I mean, I understand why, kind of, but who made those decisions? And it wasn't the players making those decisions,
Right.
Rules changing, like they changed it. I've gone through, you guys, all those rules changes, from using your hands, not using your hands. You can touch, you cannot. I mean, a million rules. Rally score, no rally score, this score, that score, play to 15, play for time, and we tried I mean, insanely stuff that you as an athlete and people making the rules, you're like trying to adjust as a player. Like how it's totally different ball game. It's a different way you play, a different way you train.
They're making these rules based off business decisions or something.
Yes.
This might be more entertaining. This might be not really thinking about it from the player's perspective. So
yeah.
I mean, hopefully, AVP does have like I don't know, what do you call it, Travis? Like they have a players.
It's like a players committee, kind of a
players
board.
Committee, or like a players board or something like that.
Pretty respectful about it nowadays, especially after the stuff that went down a few years ago. But yeah, I just feel like players these days, including myself, just aren't as well versed in what's happening off the court and what's making the tour happen and making everything move and why we're playing in the first place. So we can't really make those decisions or give our opinion because we're not, our heads aren't really in it.
Right.
And I think an association would help with that, but someone's got to take that on and
That's the kicking part right there. People would knock on people that Nina, you need to do that. I'm like, oh man, really? Like, you guys, like, I'm like, I don't think I can. And everyone's like, you got to. I mean, and I'm like, okay. Here we go.
That was why the AVP was formed in the first place.
Yes.
Because the promoters were making all these rule changes without asking the players. And I think the last straw was when they changed the ball. And all the players they kept hurting their shoulders because it was, I guess, a different material and it was getting heavy. And so Leonard Armato was like, you should form a union and just strike.
Right.
And so that's the AVP started as a players kind of board, a union, and then it became its own thing, which is pretty cool.
Right. Well, so the women, we started because I had decided that we were doing this. I went down we had a tournament at Hermosa and we got down there like typical, whatever. And all the girls were there in the morning and the board wasn't up. The courts weren't ready. The tournament wasn't seated. I don't know what. And I finally just called everyone together and I said, all right, you guys, no one's playing in this event. We're going home. This guy can sit on his whatever all day long. Nobody's playing. We all have to be together. We got to do it together. And we got to decide how we're going to do this and what we want at every event. And then we're going to tell these guys, this is how you run an event. and otherwise we're not playing. And that's what happened. And so we all went home, and that's how we started the women too, the associations in our house, in our living room.
That's really cool. Was it tough? Did you get any pushback from the women? Because I know when Carrie was kind of saying we can't like keep accepting these rules changes in Chicago, a lot of the players were like, listen, we only get 8 events. Like we can't sit out one of the better paying ones.
Yeah.
That's tough. But you know, I don't know what it was like for you guys back then.
Yeah, we didn't have anything. So I mean, we had piddly, we had a little bit, and I mean, I think everyone could see that if we banded together, it would be a benefit everyone. I mean, that was kind of what I sold, but we, as a group, we said we can demand more and we can get more help and more money and more things if we're all together and not fragmented, so everyone stuck together.
Yeah.
So,
a lot of the time it comes down to, okay, the top players might be in it and thinking, okay, we're going to sit it out, but then the rest of the players will actually benefit from it. So it's like, sure, sit out. We'll take that top money.
We'll take your money.
Yeah.
And it ruins everything that the top players are trying to do, or I don't know, it's
just,
everyone's got to be on board.
Yeah, it's the replacements, beach volleyball edition.
Yeah. The guy's like, oh, I won a tournament, Oh, I had people win Manhattan Open, and we didn't play in the Manhattan Open because we had events somewhere else, and they had a Manhattan Open, the women, and those people are on the pier, so whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you on the pier more than anyone?
No.
Who's on more than you? I feel like I walk down the pier and I'm like, Nina Matthies, St. John, Nina Matthies, Dodd, Nina Matthies, Dodd, Nina Matthies, Karch. Just like, geez.
Well, there's Nina Grauwinkle in there too. That's my maiden name. I made him put that in there because I was born right there. I go, I got to have my parents got to look at that and say, that was me. No, I think Carrie, I only know because Marcio keeps me involved in things. I have no idea, but I think he does. He makes me remember. I think Carrie and I are tied at 7.
Okay. That is astounding that you've won 7 Manhattan Opens.
I know, but maybe I was like 12 when I started. I don't know. It wasn't I don't want to say it wasn't a big deal, but I lived in Manhattan Beach, you played in Manhattan Open and that was my beach. So you wanted to win it. And it became bigger later.
Yeah. Well, I know, I mean, for the guys that we've talked to, we've had like Hovland and St. John and Dodd, we've had those guys on the show, and they always said from the start that Manhattan was the biggie for them. Was it big also for the women, or did it take a little bit longer for you guys to kind of get some momentum to figure out what the big event was?
No, it was a big event because actually the Manhattan Open was one of the very first tournaments that actually it was called the John Shaw because John Shaw was, we went to, Charlie Sakely, who ran all the stuff in Manhattan Beach, he went to the head, I don't know if he was the mayor at the time or if he was the head of the city or something. He went to him and said, hey, if we put some money in this term, we'll call it the John Shaw Open. And so he put some money in, we're like, woohoo, whatever it was, but maybe it was the first time we actually made money was at the Manhattan Open before anything. That was when we were young, when I was young. And Charlie Sakely started that. I worked at the Manhattan Pier for him since I was like 16, setting up all the courts and doing everything down there, running all the tournaments and seating the boards and doing all whatever. So I was kind of involved in all that junk for a long time, a little kid.
Do you miss Manhattan?
I miss my Manhattan. I don't know if I'm
sure
it
it's much different now.
You think? When we were little, my mom, I had a boundary on the beach from the pier, Manhattan Pier, to Marine Street, and we could play. That was where we could play on the beach, and she could see us, and that was what we did. Could you imagine now? I mean,
you can't see because there's a mansion in your way.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was no people on the beach or whatever, and we would just run and we just play on all that. I mean, we had the whole beach to ourselves. I mean, the bike path wasn't there. I mean, it was nothing, and no one. I mean, it was just sand dunes and a couple of volleyball courts, and awesome. It was an awesome place to grow up, and I yeah, it's hard for me to go back sometimes. I mean, I miss some parts of it. I have like my friends' houses. I'm like, oh, I just hang out here, but it's too busy down there. I live up here because there's no people.
Yeah. Yeah, you can so you can watch from afar, the
Yeah,
AVP live stream and see. I mean, you've coached so many athletes who are kind of pretty big time now. I'm sure it's probably pretty fun for you to watch them. Like Kelly Larson, I was out practicing with her today that, she's ranked third in the Olympic race and making a push for it. And
amazing. That is amazing to me. She didn't even want to play volleyball. I mean, I almost had to beg her to play volleyball in college because she wanted to go be a doctor and do whatever. She was really, really smart. And I mean, it was like a chore. I don't think she ever really loved it until later, way later.
yeah.
But even afterwards, I don't think she loved playing beach at Pep either. She's like, oh, I don't even want to get into it, but yeah, I felt bad for her. She was so good. I had to put her with some people that were tough to play with sometimes. But yeah, she's a stud.
Yeah, it's fun to see. You got Corinne, she's playing great, and Delaney's playing the best volleyball she's ever played. And she's funny because she's like, well, if I practice in Zuma, do you think it'd be okay if I asked Nina to like watch me and coach? I'm like, well, I think you can ask her. I think she'd probably be honored by that.
Yeah, I'm like, she asked me before. I'm like, yeah, I went down there, and then I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if people want help sometimes. So
Yeah.
I just kind of mind my own business.
I feel like you accomplishing all you did when you were 5'6" is probably such a great attribute to have as a coach. Because as soon as a girl tries to use being short as an excuse, there's no way.
Yeah, no way. No way. I mean, I'm gonna block like indoors. If I'm like trying out for the national team when I was like 17, I was junior in high school. And tryouts, and I never left the court. I'm like, I was outside hitter. I mean, I was horrible, but I didn't care. They gave me a setter, yeah, I go in. Outside hitter, sure. Like, so when middle blocker, I'd go in. I mean, I'm like, whatever. I don't care. I just want to play, and I do anything. Just didn't matter how short you were. You just had to know what was going on.
Found a way to win. You always found a way to win.
Find ways to win.
The person who says that about their indoor career is usually a really amazing beach player. Because you every position and just wanted to do everything. Yeah, you learn when you're small, and I just wanted to play, and I knew there's people that were bigger, better, stronger. I'm like, I just want to play, know. So same. I want to play more than them. Like, yeah.
I love that. Well, Nina, we've had you here for a little while. We try to keep it at around an hour, just to respect everyone's time. So thank you tons. It was great catching up with you here. Glad we got to talk, and Delaney was so excited to be able to just to say hey to you.
Well, thanks. Me too. I miss you guys, and now I'm going to pay attention more. I'll watch.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll come up and do a hike with you and Dan.
That would be, oh yeah, no, not Dan, but me. Yeah, we'll come up and do a hike. Yeah, I have some, I'm not kidding. I have some awesome hikes up here. Awesome.
Yeah, well, we're in. That's what we've been doing, a lot of camping and backpacking, so we'd love to.
Yeah. We can just go for a long walk.
Yeah, just a stroll.
Just a stroll. Just a good stroll. But it's so pretty. Yeah. Yeah, come up.
Yeah, well, we do have one question we ask every guest to end the show. Yeah. Is if you had to give one piece of advice to an up-and-coming beach volleyball player, what would that piece of advice be?
My piece of advice, I think you have to just work. You got to train hard. Everyone says they work hard, but you have to train hard, and you got to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, then nothing, it's not going to happen for you. So my piece of advice is that if you love playing and you love, it's the training, you got to love training. And if you love training and you keep at it, and you're honest and you do the right thing, good things happen to you. And I think you're evidence of that. You've left a pretty cool legacy in this sport, Nina. Well, thanks you guys. Thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too, Chai. Yeah, well, in person sometime, someday.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll jump in on a little stroll.
There you go. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
All right. See you
All
guys.
right, guys. Okay.
All right.
Bye.